Hello, I'm Donald Leggett. Welcome to the latest Focus IR CEO interview. I'm joined today by Stefan Bernstein. He's the CEO at GreenRoc Mining, and they are AIM listed. Now, GreenRoc have had a productive year, and on the 31st of October, the company released a preliminary economic assessment for the Amitsoq Graphite project in Southern Greenland. Welcome, Stefan.
Thank you, Donald.
It's nice to have you back for the final interview of the year.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to tell all about what we have conducted of good work this year.
Great. So let me start by asking you about 2023. Is it possible to summarize the highlights of 2023 for us, Stefan?
Yes, indeed. So I think 2023 has been a great year for us. We have achieved a lot of milestones. It's also been a transformative year for us because we are now solidly set to become one of Europe's first, if not the first, producer of active anode material for the electric car industry. So in the beginning of the year, we released an update on the resource at Amitsoq, the graphite deposit in Greenland we are developing. We have also showed that the graphite that can be produced at Amitsoq is amenable to the spheronization that produces active anode material. Not all graphite qualifies for that. And we conducted the PEA. We can talk about that later. But I think also very importantly, I was in Amitsoq, the nearby town in South Greenland, a couple of times in January, but also here in November, holding some information meetings, and was met with a lot of genuine interest. So people are really looking forward to us reopening this mine that has been closed for nearly 100 years.
So you're getting a warm welcome in Southern Greenland?
Indeed.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic news. Okay, so as you alluded to, we're going to talk about Amitsoq and the PEA now. So into the highlights. It's a pretty chunky economic document. As you say, it was very positive. So talk us through the highlights and how it's setting a base for a positive mine to be built.
Yes, and I think one of the most important points of the PEA is that it describes how a reopening of the Amitsoq mine is technical and economically feasible with modern methods, and that it has a robust economics with a post-tax NPV8 of about $180 million and internal rate of return of about 27%. So really good numbers. It also, I think, is an important point that the environmental footprint is minimal because it turns out that with the mining method that is designed here, more than 80% of the tailings produced during the mining operation is going back into the mine as backfill. That leaves a minor proportion as tailings to be deposited at surface. And also important is that the PEA describes how we can make good use of both existing infrastructure at the Amitsoq, the old mine site, and at the Nanortalik town where there's port facilities and housing and so forth.
So it feels the way you're talking as if it's become a bit more real to you, Stefan.
Exactly. Because when you stand there, you got the outcrop. Of course, you have the old mine edits and so forth. But it's, I'm not a mining expert myself. So having that group of really good mining engineers taking a close look at Amitsoq and say, this is the way such a mine can be set up, and get the numbers out also has been really important for us.
Okay. And that ties in very neatly to the vertical integration route which you've decided to go down. You're going to build an anode graphite processing plant. So what are the plans for that processing plant in 2024? Talk us through your future plans.
Yes. So similar to having an engineering study on the mine in Greenland, we're also now conducting a feasibility study on setting up such a processing plant. And that is getting into all the nitty-gritty now of the unit's power consumption and how well they are spheronizing the graphite and so forth. And this feasibility study is going to be reported in May next year. And of course, we'll be then arriving at a business case and make some business decisions to eventually build a pilot processing plant, so we can start the certification process of the active anode material. Because to get a binding offtake agreement with some of the offtakers, then we'll need to show that we can deliver consistent quality of active anode material over some time. So we need to get on with that pilot processing plant. And I would just mention also that this feasibility study that we are presently conducting is supported by a 260,000 pound grant from the Automotive Transformation Frontier from the UK.
Okay, if we could talk strategy for a moment, how do you expect the market for graphite to evolve over the next 3 to 5 years, and where does Amitsoq fit into that picture?
Yes, so graphite is in big demand. It's coming from mostly, of course, the growing electric car fleet that is going to populate our streets in the coming decades. So the gigafactories, so-called gigafactories that are building car batteries, is a huge off-taker of graphite active anode material. But then I think another market which is also growing is from energy storage systems, that is household batteries, so to speak, to hold some of the energy that we take down from sun and other CO2 neutral energy sources. So those demands are going to increase by fourfold over the coming decade. So there'll be a increasing pressure, of course, on the upstream industry, and we see now also that government bodies in the West here are scrambled to establish safe supply chains for critical raw materials such as graphite.
Will there be sufficient supply of graphite, would you say, for the next 10 years?
Yes, in the sense that there's not a global lack of graphite. But of course, graphite comes in very different qualities. Our graphite at Amitsoq is a really high quality and can be easily made into battery-grade graphite. But what can be in a scarcity of is graphite that are, first of all, produced in a responsible way with minimal social and environmental impacts. And also, I think, from geopolitically stable regions such as Greenland, our part of the world, and also minimizing the need for shipping along over huge distances, such as if you were to source your graphite anode material from China today, you'll spend more than 40 days at sea.
Now, there are changes in the regulatory landscape of food, such as the EU Critical Raw Materials Act. Now, how is that going to impact the graphite industry? And in particular, in the future, will it impact GreenRoc?
Such initiatives are very, very important because they are aimed at securing the supply chains by, for instance, setting up minimum requirements for production in our part of the world. So we're not having this over-reliance on sources such as in China. And they are doing that by, for instance, setting up so-called battery passports, where you have to demonstrate that certain amounts of the raw materials that go into producing your batteries are coming from safe countries or have certain high ESG standards. So all of those are important, of course, in terms of the effect it has on pricing, so that the graphite that we can produce in Greenland will eventually also attract a higher price because it's high ESG standard produced graphite.
Okay, that's good to know. In 2024, what kind of news flow can we expect from GreenRoc, Stefan?
Well, in not so long time, we expect to file our application for exploitation at Amitsoq. We'll also in 24 be concluding the environmental and social impact assessments. We will collect geotechnical data and start the PFS at Amitsoq. And we also have some graphite concentrate coming now from a smaller bulk sample we collected last year. And that is going to provide us with material that we can send to potential off-takers. They'd really like to receive material of graphite concentrate, spherical graphite, and other products from Amitsoq so they can do their own test work. Some of it we already have sent out. We just kind of exhausted our stock of material. And it has been very positively received by some of these potential off-takers.
So you see 2024 as being a very busy year, I presume?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Now, my final question to you, one that we're asking all the CEOs at this time of year. Why should GreenRoc be on your watch list for 2024?
First of all, because the world needs graphite and the energy transition needs graphite. And GreenRoc is one of the precious few companies that are developing to become a proper domestic producer of graphite anode material. And that is based on our world-class deposit in Greenland. And because due to the current market conditions, our share price makes for a very rare investment opportunity.
Stefan Bernstein, CEO GreenRoc Mining, thank you so much for joining us there. Thank you for your review of the year. Thank you for looking backwards at 2023, forwards at 2024. It was very pleasing indeed. Thank you so much. For more company information and to access the company bulletin board, please go to the GreenRoc Mining pages on London South East. And meanwhile, do follow us on Twitter. That would be @_FocusIR_, or alternatively @London South East, or register on London South East YouTube to receive alerts to our next GreenRoc interview. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay well.